Hey everyone, I read this book, Make It Count, about 3 weeks ago whilst I was on holiday. And this is a book by a gentleman called Benjamin Ferencz, Ferencz. Show you a picture of him on the front. Now, Benjamin unfortunately passed away last month, but he was over 100 years old, so unfortunately or timely, what can you say? This is an amazing book. This is it's quite thin, as you can see. So it is a book I read in one sitting whilst I was on holiday. And let me read the front cover to you. An extraordinary 100-year-old man's 9 lessons for living a life to be proud of. Make it count. And then on the front it says, I don't know where to stop praising Benny in this amazing book. That's by Heather Morris, author of The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Now, Benjamin was born in what is now Romania, I believe. And what made his life so significant? Well, firstly, he lived to 100. And this guy's morning routine, over 100 actually, this guy's morning routine involved 100 push-ups, right? How many 20-year-olds can do 100 push-ups? Okay, so he scaled it back to 75. But this was when the guy was a centenarian. It's quite amazing. And what he did with his life. So let me read you the back. No one has made the most of their first century on earth more than Benjamin Ferencz, Jewish immigrant, World War II soldier, last surviving prosecutor of the Nuremberg trials, and renowned human rights lawyer. Wow, right? He has fought for God his whole life. Here he shares his extraordinary and moving story alongside 9 treasured lessons in the hope you'll choose to make your time on earth count too. Ferencz has wonderful humour, patience and gratitude. A must read. That's by Dr. Edith Eger. A life-affirming and beautiful book from a great human being by Bart Van S. I do apologise. Given what he witnessed at the Nazi death camps, the most extraordinary thing about Benjamin may well be his unwavering cheerfulness. His optimism about life and humanity shines through every page. I pause there because it's from the Daily Mail. Now, I'll agree with the Daily Mail there, although I never would do. They say whatever they want, make up whatever they want. But this is an extraordinary book. It's amazing. It actually came about as a collaboration after a journalist interviewed the guy and then became quite friendly with him. And the journalist realized on these talks some of the things that Benjamin would say were just great advice. For example, one of Benjamin's sayings that he'd often say to himself and others who were saying, oh, things are hard, is, I'm sure you've survived worse. Which is just great, because at the end of the day, how many times have you been in a situation where you thought, oh, this is so terrible, oh, what am I going to do, oh, my life's over, and you got through it, didn't you? So whatever you're going through now, you can just think back to that time, and I'm sure you survived worse. But let's get back into the book, which I'll give 10 out of 10, by the way, and I fully recommend. This is one of those books that's so good, a bit like 4,000 Weeks, which is another one I reviewed, but this is one of those books that's so good that you should read it, maybe once a year. Because if you read it, firstly, it just cheers you up, and secondly, the advice in it is good. I'm going to read you the chapter titles, okay? On dreams, you don't have to follow the crowd, so do what you want to do what you believe in. That's his advice, okay? And he certainly did, and it took him places. On education, learn where you are. Whatever opportunity for learning presents itself, take it. It might not be education, in an institution, but obviously if that comes up, make the most of it. Don't piss away your education because it will negatively impact your life. And education's fun. The more you learn, the more fun life is, because the more ideas you can have and the more you can understand and the more you can do. I really believe that. On circumstances, lift yourself by your own bootstraps. There's always something you can do. It might not be what you want to do, but there's always something you can do to improve your situation. On life, the path is always bumpy, never straight. So, decide where you want to go and concentrate on there, but you might get led off to the side, and keep your eyes open. You might see something good as well. On principles, choose to be good. Being good is not always as easy as being bad. Yeah. The good option is usually never the easy option. To be good is difficult, but it pays off. You can look at yourself in the mirror every morning and actually like the person you're seeing, and people will like you too. And the ones who don't are probably assholes. On truth, always speak yours, even if no one's listening. That takes balls. How many times have you been in a situation at work and your boss is treating you like absolute, canine poo on the bottom of his shoe? But you just say, okay, okay. You become so subservient. What? Just because they're paying you a salary? Hell, some jobs don't even pay salary, and you get walked all over. Why are these people going to keep you alive? No, fuck them. Stand up for yourself. All right. Don't be belligerent. Obviously. On love, there are more important things than saving the world. Now, this is a guy. This is a guy who did save hundreds of lives. This is the guy who, at the age of 27, was doing the Nuremberg trials. This is a guy who survived World War II. You know, jumped out of a plane that was going to crash. But the more important thing than him is the more important thing to him than all that heroism and all those achievements is love. Now, this is a guy who was married for about 80 years to the same woman, 70 years. There's so much to be gained from good relationships. People change, of course, but if you change together and you can just, why start from scratch when you built something so good? It's quite a touching story as well. It's the book is actually dedicated to his wife, who unfortunately passed away. Let me read you this. Benjamin Ferencz was born in 1920 in a country that no longer exists. He's a graduate of Harvard Law School and was awarded the Medal of Freedom in 2014. The previous recipient had been Nelson Mandela. So he was a prosecutor at the Nuremberg trials in 1947 at the age of only 27. Led efforts to return property to Holocaust survivors after the war, participated in reparation negotiations between Israel and West Germany, and was essential in the establishment of the International Criminal Court. The guy did so much. He has 4 children by his wife Gertrude, who was his high school sweetheart, and who sadly passed away in 2019. It's such a good book. It's touching. Let me get back to the chapters. So, on love, there are more important things than saving the world. On stamina, push the rock a little further up the hill. Keep going. When you think you've done enough, do a little bit more. Not just because you have to be a good employee, like I said, the way people get treated by their bosses sometimes, or even in relationships, man. Stand up for yourself. We're all susceptible to this. Here I am, telling you to stand up for yourself and blah blah blah. I've been walked all over before. I was in a absolutely crappy job for 3.5 years where I got treated like shit, and then eventually I just thought, what the hell am I putting up with? So it can happen. Keep an eye out for it. On the future, weather eye on the horizon, hands on the wheel. Yeah, pay attention to where you are. Know where you want to go, but pay attention to where you are. It's such a great book. I wish I had actually reviewed this the day I read it, because now whilst I remember the essence of it, the words, the way they're written, the way it's communicated, and just the personality of the guy that comes through in the pages is so great. It's so great. I'm kind of scan reading it now, and I'm almost tempted. I'm going to read you a chapter. I'm going to read you the introduction. I won't do that. I'll read you the prologue, and I'll read you the dedication. To my dear departed wife Gertrude, who left us on September 14, 2019, after 74 years of happy marriage with never a quarrel in our loving relationship. Wonderful. It takes a certain type of person to be married for that long, right? Where's the other bit I thought might be worth reading to you? Benjamin Ferencz was born in 1929. Yeah, this is different. Benjamin Ferencz was born in 1920 in a country that no longer exists. He's a graduate of... I've already read that. Look, I'm tempted. This is so good. I'm tempted to just read the whole damn thing to you. But obviously I can't do that on a book review. You'll fall asleep. I'm just going to... Here's a good line in it. Have fire in your belly. Okay, so make it count. This is one of his other just snippets. I'll read you a paragraph from right near the end of the book, which is chapter 9. Weather eye on the horizon, hands on the wheel. I'm a New Yorker and we're tough and special, but there's nowhere like Paris. Read books to inspire you. I like non-fiction best, books about religion most. But my favourite book, believe it or not, was War and Peace. When the war was over, I was on leave in Switzerland and my outfit left unexpectedly. There's some real adventures in this book, by the way. So I hitched a ride on a boat where nobody on the ship knew me. They constantly wanted to give me a dirty assignment. I would hide under the stairwell reading that book. Have fire in your belly. Don't follow trends. Make your own. I have a very good caregiver these days, and I tell her I'm going to go out wearing one black shoe and one red shoe. She says you can't do that. I say, why not? I just want to make the point that these are perfectly good shoes. Why do they have to match? If I was a movie star who came out that way, then everybody would go out and buy the same kind of red and black shoes mixed. The future, I said I was going to read one paragraph, but this is one of those books. This is a book like a good tin of biscuits. You can't just read a bit. You just have to eat the whole tin. But Yeah, fantastic book. I will read it again. It's worth reading more than once, this book. It's a reminder, 9 good rules. There are some books like that, actually, some other good books, not as short, not as easy to read. For example, there's Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, but that's long, although that's worth reading maybe once every couple of years as well. It's so nice to have these books on your bookshelf that are worth going back to. But this is this one. I think I've gone on for long enough now. Make It Count by Benjamin Ferencz. Excellent book. Highly recommend it. 10 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the review.